What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on Polish women and how they treat passport bros. And the reason I'm creating this video is because one of my loyal Patreon members asked for this video. So if you have video requests, join the Patreon and I will record your video request. And that link will be somewhere down below this video. And with that said, also make sure to smash that like button. It helps me out with the algorithm, costs you nothing, and means the world to me. Now, with all that good stuff out of the way, let's get into the topic at hand. Now, before we get into the topic at hand, although I said we are, I need to give you a quick disclaimer. And that's the fact that I haven't been to Poland in the last 1.5 or so years, which means the passport bro movement wasn't really a thing. And what I mean by that is over the last year or two, women have put no passport bros in their dating profiles, although I haven't heard of that actually affecting anyone's dating experience, but I need to give you guys the proper context for the things that I am about to say. Additionally, I was only in Krakow and I was in Warsaw. That is where all my experience comes from, and so I'm going to share with you how these women treated me and my observations of these women. This is my personal experience, and so obviously there are going to be generalizations, and I'm not saying all women are the exact same. But my Patreon subscriber asked for my opinion, and so that's what I am going to share with you. So, I've mentioned multiple times before that I don't think Polish women are the most attractive in that particular area of Europe. I find Ukrainians more attractive, Belarusians, Latvians, Lithuanians, Moldovans, and probably even Hungarians more attractive than I find Polish women. That doesn't mean that they are not attractive, because they are certainly attractive, and they are certainly more attractive than 99% of American women on average. And another thing, Polish women not exactly the easiest to game, which means if you put 2 and 2 together, they aren't the most attractive in my opinion, and they are the most difficult. So do with that information what you will. In fact, I was talking to one of my buddies and he goes, yeah, Ukrainians are definitely a step above, and they aren't as difficult. Which brings me to the next thing. Some people act like dating in Poland or night gaming or whatever you want to call it in Poland is like the easiest thing in the world, and it is not. I don't want to say it's the most difficult, but it is certainly more difficult than most of you have been led to believe. And they will call out your bullshit. They are not going to put up with your bullshit, and you need to be on your P's and Q's. They will bust your balls if they find that you are not acting in alignment, or you're being disingenuous, or you're just taking them for a ride. Now, what I'm about to say probably going to be a little controversial. I found them really friendly and engaging. A lot of people say they are closed off and a little bit cold or reserved. That was not my personal experience. But here's the catch with that. When I last spent time in Poland, I was with my Russian buddies who are polyglots. So if you don't know what that is, they speak a bunch of different languages. And so that probably gave us access to a higher quality of social group than I would be able to access by myself, because I only speak English. Now, most Polish people, or I shouldn't say most, but a good majority of Polish people speak English. They have a pretty high level of English in that country, and they have a pretty high level of education as well. But I do think having that social group that spoke their language probably helped break down some barriers and preconceived notions than if we just blazed the trail in there speaking English. Now, I can't tell you one way or the other if that's a fact or not, but I personally believe it is true. But back to the level of English and education, they are, in general, pretty smart, pretty witty, and pretty fun, which means you're going to have to be pretty smart as well, pretty educated. And in general, you're going to have to be well-dressed, well-spoken, and in general, you're going to have to take care of yourself if you want to compete in that dating market or in the dating scene. Because like I said earlier, They are not going to put up with your bullshit. They're not going to be strung along. And I would personally say they're the least likely to be strung along or to deal with your bullshit or what may have you in all of that area of Europe. They simply do not play those games in my experience. I will also say they're not going to baby you. They are going to expect you to act like a man. Now, obviously, I think I mentioned this before, these are some generalizations, but a vast majority of the women in that country are going to expect you to lead and to be a man. So if you're coming from a place like the United States where gender roles are a little bit blurry and undefined, you're going to be in for a wild ride in Poland. Now, there are some changes occurring in Poland that we're not going to get into for the purpose of this video, but it's not going to be anything like the United States. Now, once again, this is my experience. That doesn't mean you can't have success any other way. I'm just sharing my experience and my opinions in this video because that's what the Patreon member asked for. So, with all that said, I would recommend Poland. I mean, I am going there. I think it's a great place. Terrible weather for part of the year, but obviously don't go to Poland during that part of the year. Vibrant nightlife, pretty decent food. And I know I talked a little poorly about them, but they are attractive women, and I do think they are fun and engaging. But if you're a low-value guy in whatever country you're currently in, going to Poland, probably not the best idea for you. Probably better off in a place like Thailand or the Philippines, where it is probably closer to shooting fish in a barrel than a place like Poland. And I just wanted to give you guys the proper context for what to expect. And sometimes I verbalize these things harshly so I can get the point across. But overall, if you're a higher value guy, if you have social skills, if you're in shape, if you're on your P's and Q's, well-spoken, well-dressed, all that good stuff, then I think you'll have a great time, especially if you can find a way to build a social circle or to make friends fast who speak the language, because as I mentioned before, I do think that is a bit of a cheat code, especially to break down that barrier of them being cold or unfriendly. And I will remind you, I think they're the least attractive and probably the most difficult, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So keep that in mind. All right, so that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments down below if you have any experience, especially in the last 2 years in Poland, and share that with the community so we can further this conversation. If you want me to record a video like this on a topic of your choosing, then go ahead and join the Patreon and make sure to smash that like button, really helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, peace, much love.